We all know that I'm a big fan of trying to find unique ways to make things challenging. So it doesn't always have to be put more weight on the bar or grab something heavier or go faster. That's a lot of times, that's a really difficult variable to deal with. And sometimes we actually need to work with our core strength a little bit more before we're able to handle more weight on a squat or a deadlift. Our legs may be able to do it, but our core can't handle it. So something that we can do to really be an effective training tool is to increase our lever arm. Okay, so when we talk about lever arms, I love using this example with the stick. So this is one of my stick mobility deals. I love it. It's a 7-foot stick, a little bit taller than me. So if I grab this stick here in the middle, right at the sticker, okay, fine, I can hold it. Now, if I take the exact same stick, I've done nothing to it, and all I do is change holding it on the end here, boom, that stick gets a lot heavier. Now, nothing changed with the stick except for my proximity to the center of the stick. We can use this as a tool to make the same weight heavier or our body heavier whenever we're doing an implement. We use this with isometrics a lot, and it can also illustrate for us why we're having trouble in some movements, particularly like a hinge movement, like a deadlift, why we're having some trouble maybe feeling in our back. So there was the example of the stick. Let me show you in a real world application, or a weight room application, how we would use this. So for instance, I'm going to do a front carry here. So if I hold my kettlebell here and I start my walk, not much is going on. But if I merely just take it out away from me and I'm increasing my lever arm, so the distance between the middle of me and the weight, and now I hold it, my core has to work a whole lot more. The middle of me has to work a whole lot more. So we would use that to make a lighter weight more challenging or to make a movement more challenging, okay? Now, let's see in our hinge position. We always talk about keeping everything to the midline. Well, that's all about a lever arm. It's making our body do the least amount of work that it has to do. So we would find our mid-foot position. Even if we get in the totally right position, as we go down, if we let the weight drift out here in front of us, you can see all this space I've created between the center of me and the weight, okay? Then we start feeling it in our low back. The lever arm at that point, not only is it longer, but it is our spine. So as I go down here, the load on my spine right here, every millimeter out I go, it exponentially increases. So the further out I am, it's going to exponentially increase. You can also increase it by speed or momentum. If it's dangling out here, that'll add force to it as well. So if we keep it here tight to the midline, you can't even see the kettlebell because I'm reaching back from my heels. All right, and now I'm able to keep it here in the hips and the hamstrings, and then I scoop back up. So that could show you why we're always trying to get things back to the middle, is because we're trying to use our lever arms either to our advantage to make ourselves stronger or to make an exercise or movement more challenging. Here's a few more examples in our workouts of utilizing lever arms to make things more or less challenging. For our last circuit in this workout, we're going to have a foot up on a short box. We're going to do a little short box hop. So it's a light plyometric, working on speed. Honestly, we're just trying to get our heart rate up a little bit. We're going to go for 20 seconds. Remember, whenever we're doing a plyometric or any sort of activity, our arms follow our body. So when our body goes up, our arms go up. When our body comes down, our arms are going to go down. We're going to keep about 90% of our weight in this front leg, and the leg is on the box. Don't switch on the ground, switch up here on the box, okay? We're leaning in, up and switch, up and switch. We're going for height here. Okay, push off that big toe. Breathe through the nose and out through the mouth. We're going to go for 20 seconds, okay? Then we're going to grab, I've got a 15-pound plate here. Okay, we're going to hold a plate out in front of you, and we're going to alternate lateral lunges. Hold here, lunge out to the right, and then we step off to the left. Okay, keeping that core tight, keeping that plate out at chest or head height, not letting it sag down here, getting up tall, get a nice big lunge each side. Then, finish out, we're going to do a Copenhagen. So I've got a bench here. There's a few different ways you can do this. I'm going to show you the easiest variation. You have your knee actually on the bench. Okay, the further out your leg is, further away your knee is, the harder it will be. You can go on your arm, you can go on your hand. You may not be tall enough to go on your elbow. You may have to go on your hand. We're going to be up. I'm going to make sure that everything's straight. So my ankle, knee, hip, shoulder, head. And I'm going to get up here, and I'm going to try to lift my bottom leg up and bring it back down. So if I can lift my leg, that's outstanding. Okay? I can also drop my hip and give myself a little momentum. Trying to lift here.
dropping that hip a little bit and lifting. I can also do a hold at the end where I'm holding this position, trying to squeeze my bottom leg and my top leg together, okay? Want to make sure that we're trying to keep those legs still. We don't want the legs to internally rotate. We don't want to externally rotate too much either, okay? So it depends upon the distance of your lever arm, which again we'll get into, the distance you are away from that bench, okay? You can always adjust that as well. So if you want to make it easier, get that knee closer, you can even put the knee on top of the bench, that would be fine. So we got 20 seconds here on our alternating low box jumps. We have 8 each side, arms out. Keep that weight up at chest height. Get a nice wide and low lateral lunge, 8 each side, alternating. And then we're gonna go for 20 seconds here, or 15 repetitions where we're trying to lift that bottom leg up and down. If you can't lift that bottom leg up, that's no problem. Just do the isometric hold. Just try to make your bottom leg as light as possible, kind of in that side plank. With the top leg obviously resting on the bench. Have fun. So for the second circuit in this workout, we're gonna start on an incline dumbbell press. So we're gonna lean back, rock and roll back here. We're gonna use our legs to drive ourselves up onto our upper back. This creates a good foundation for us to press. So you can be active with your legs. You're not pushing your butt off the bench, you're pushing your weight up onto your upper back. Then we're gonna press straight up. Our dumbbells will not come together at the top. We're not trying to bounce them off each other. We pull down and press back up. Notice how my forearms stay vertical. I don't collapse my hands to my chest. I don't want to see this motion at all. I want to pull myself down like I'm pulling through mud and press back up. Another thing to be mindful of is to make sure that when you're at the top, that your dumbbells are over your chest and not over your head. So you can see here when they're over my head, you can see they're leaning back. And that puts my shoulders in a precarious position. Where if I'm here and I'm tucked, I can control the weight better. My shoulders are much more stable. We're trying to get a little stretch in the chest here. Press straight back up. When you get into some later sets and reps, we can really use that leg drive to get the heavy weight. When we're fatigued, drive. We're trying to control the weight. After that, we're going to go to a seated cable row. If you have a cable machine, awesome. If you do not, you can use bands. Do any sort of horizontal row, all right? But if you have access to a cable or an actual seated row, that's fantastic. But we want our row to be horizontal. Make sure that we have tension on the cable so that when I am fully extended here in this position, that the plates are not sitting down. Okay, we want them to be up and have tension the whole time. Okay, I'm going to sit up tall. I'm going to open my chest and lean back slightly and return. Pull back slightly and return. You can do this a couple ways. If you let your shoulder blades all the way out, which is great, and even you can round that upper back some, you get your upper back and then your lats. Okay? You can also restrict how far forward your shoulder blades go right there, not doing that extra protraction. And that'll keep more tension on your lats the whole time and kind of isolate them. Either way is right or wrong, they're just different, okay? So I'm gonna go with that full range of motion here. Exhale my pull and inhale right here. Okay, I'm gonna get 10 to 12. Then I'm gonna take my bench, I'm gonna get a different bench, I'm gonna adjust my incline bench to be flat, and then we're gonna do an oblique hold. So, we're gonna sit with our hip on the very edge of the bench. My top leg, so I'm laying on my left side, so my right's on top, I'm gonna hook that leg back behind, the lower leg is gonna go forward. And then I'm gonna come here, and I'm gonna hold. I'm trying to get the top side long, or the same length as the bottom side. A lot of folks will crunch here like this, and you can see how I'm straight out, but my top side is shortened, and my bottom side is longer. So I'm gonna try to figure that out here, and really hold the core here, and the hips here, and breathing in through the nose, and out through the mouth. In through the nose, and out through the mouth, okay? If you want to add a little crunch, you can crunch up. And if we crunch up, we're going to rotate towards the ceiling just a little bit with each crunch. We'll try to do 20-second hold. You can try to do a couple crunches before, then do the hold. If you want to do straight crunches, it's up to you. Get maybe 8 to 10 reps. So today here, we're going to go with the incline press. We're going to go 8 to 10 reps. Try to get more towards that 8 side, so we're really pushing some weight. Then we have our cable seated row. Try and get 8 to 10 reps there. Again, remember, if we lay ourselves all the way out, we get a little more upper back. If we're just kind of shortening that reach, that protraction,
we're getting more lat pull, we're isolating the lat a little more, okay? And then we're doing our oblique hold or oblique crunch here off the bench. Remember the top leg hooks on that back side. We'll get a 20-second hold here. Have fun.